We have been 3D printing foams, a lot of foams, but what do we call them? There's got to be some names out there. I think anti-foam, alt foam, no foams, gnomes, is that it? We're gonna have a foam party. We definitely have a lot of foams. I didn't want to get into this project because I know sometimes I get a little obsessed about things, and I have put this off for years because I'm years behind the curve on this. And I had designed some, basically when I saw them on YouTube before anybody was selling them, and I was like, yeah, let me try that. And I designed a couple, and they just didn't work at all. They were way too stiff, and I didn't want to do the time that it would take to do all the iterations. These are all different iterations of them, and I have actually figured out some pretty good tunes and tricks on these. So head first into a project to avoid buying $40 in foams. I have probably spent 15 hours of just design and redesign time over the past week. So what we have here are the latest ones that came off the bed. These are printed in white, which of course you change anything and it's different. So the white is actually a little bit softer than this orange is here. These are for the VXT tires, because the VXT tires in particular, they come with these foams, which are great for heavy rigs, but way too stiff. Absolutely way too stiff for the 1.9 Wraith back there. I'll just show you. Yeah, so these don't conform at all, really. I mean, you get it pressed on to a side, I suppose, but way too stiff. So this is one of the rigs that I wanted to redo, but then another one was I needed some foams for these KLR V2s, and all the foams that I had were just way too stiff. So I printed some, they're already in there. I've got one size in the front, and then I've got some slightly taller ones in the rear. They still have pretty good give, as you can see, but I already tested them and they work really well. They work just as well as the foams that I used to have in there, which were the 2-stage. Where'd they go? I hid them from myself, I suppose. There's a stack around here somewhere. Yeah, it don't matter now. Yeah, wherever they went. Long gone, I suppose. They're into the ether. What was I talking about? Yeah, foams for those. I printed them, they work. Now we're working on the VXTs. And what I have here is what I call the 86 millimeter version. And then I've got some 84s that are getting printed. The lower the number, the softer that they are. So this is, they came off pretty much string free. I'm really impressed with the bamboo, with the stock settings, more or less, how well it prints. There is a lot of stringing on the inside, but this TPU is extremely cheap, and it's been sitting for, oh gosh, 2-3 years maybe, just sucking up all the moisture that it can. So there's gonna be a little bit of stringing with TPU in that regard, but there's no strings on the outsides. There's not like this big blob that connect these two. They're sitting about a millimeter apart. Normally with TPU in bad settings, at least, there would be a string that completely connected them together for every travel move that we did. Not here. It's not here. All the strings are on the inside, and a little heat gun is going to get rid of those anyways. So the way that I designed these, it's actually got an integrated support ring for the inside, because we do have that taper. I got rid of the taper on the outside because it caused printing problems, and I could perceive zero reason. It made no difference as far as how it handled it. It actually made it a little stiffer on the sides. We got some around here. It's a little stiffer on the sides there. Yeah, so the beveled edge I found just made it more difficult to print and stiffened up the edge in a way that I didn't actually like. So just straight edges, got rid of any fanciness. And yeah, so let's see. We've got essentially a 3-stage here. I've got a very stiff inner, and then a secondary ring that is not quite as stiff, and then the outer ring, as you can see, is almost not there. And it still adds a little bit of support, but not a whole bunch. And the way that I like my tires to be, I want to make sure that it doesn't actually fill up the entire tire. It's a completely different way of tuning, but in a sense you could say this was like a 4-stage, with the outside stage just literally being air. And you know, these are printed for the width of these. It's got a bevel on the inside. Oh yeah, and I designed them to have a self-supporting ring. instead of trying to add supports in the slicer software, which really doesn't work well for thin features like this, I just drew it in CAD. And this one, I think I accidentally modified it and it doesn't tear off nearly as easily as it should. So I'll have to cut that one off, but we've got some here where the rings just tear right off, hopefully. Yeah. They just tear right off and bam, that's it. That's all the prep. That's it, which I love. I love it when prints are easy and it doesn't take a whole bunch of work. Yeah, so I can actually see the parting line on this, but just the way that it extruded, I had to slice that through. So boom, there we go. And I even embossed these because I've been writing what they are, and it's starting to get really complicated with all the different revisions that I've done. I actually embossed these on the inside, which you probably won't be able to see. VXT, 86, and then Holmes, because why not? If I'm putting something on there, may as well put my name too. So to stuff these in, just like any other foam, you gotta kind of, you have to treat them a little harsh. Stuff it in like that, and then you mount them onto your wheels like normal. So one thing that I will note about these versus regular foams is they are a little heavier as compared to these. It's about 10 grams more. This weighs 10 grams and this is like 20 or so. So it's not the ultimate lightweight thing, but like 10 grams in a tire. And I could probably make these a lot lighter, to say the truth. They're slightly overkill, at least on the first and second stage. But you know, that weight's not gonna kill me in this rig. Maybe in a comp rig, maybe you want less weight, but in a comp rig, you also may want the forwards to reverse rollover capability, and you need enough weight in your wheels to give you that like spin back and forth to get your rig rocking. Oh, let's see, what else on this? To tune them, what I've been doing, instead of changing like the infill on the outside edge here, I've actually just been changing the height of my third layer. So the third stage, make it taller, makes it more cushiony, you make it thinner like these, and it makes it a lot harder because you're getting closer and closer to that second stage, which is pretty stiff there. What else could I talk about on these? What else? Let's see, these are the VXT 86s, these are the 88s. I was thinking maybe have the 88s for the rear, the 86s for the front, something like that. I've also got some 84s printing, which I already told you. And there you go, you can kind of hear the air gap that I have in these. And that's what I want, especially on this rig down here. I was getting no tread action when I would get up to an object, and so it'd just sit there and kind of spin and spin and spin. So this will give us a little tread folding. I think I'll actually wait to put these together until the 84s come out, which will be in, you know, hours from now, I guess. About takes 2 hours a piece to print these, which isn't that bad, I suppose. But yeah, this is gonna work well, and I'm gonna spend way too much time designing on this. I know that I am. It's not gonna actually be saving me any money at the end of the day, but what I will be able to do is have custom foams for anything, because I've already got the basic design done. It's already working well for me. So there we go. These non-foams, these printed foams. Printed foam seems like a mouthful though, but that's what they are. So yeah, I'm gonna continue working on this and going down the rabbit hole of spending way too much time designing something that I could just get off of any website at this point, but that's kind of how I operate. I like to design, and of course, when I mentioned that I was doing these on Facebook, somebody commented like, "Don't waste your time. It's already been done. It's already been perfected." And that's the same thing that was told to me when I said that I wanted to build motors for rock crawlers. Is don't waste your time. It's already been done. It's, you know, there's so much to it that has already been done. And in this case, yeah, sure, but then I'd be buying somebody else's product, and that's not as fun for me as just designing it and making it myself. I'm kind of a build it sort of person, I suppose, at the end of the day, even though 3D printing is super easy. I mean, it's like a click of a button. It's not as nearly as difficult as machining something. So to me, this is like easy button designing. I really like it. So there you go. We've got all kinds of options now, and I'm not going to talk too much about this, and you may be wondering if we're going to sell these. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can do like maybe 8 foams a day tops on one printer, and then I won't be able to use my printer anymore if y'all are buying foams, right? I'll have to buy another printer. So if you would like me to have to buy another printer, tell me down below that you want to actually buy these. They would be extremely cheap. I would sell these for like $13 a pair. That's way undercutting the market, but I feel like everybody, I hate to put money on other people's time, right? But I feel like they are slightly overpriced still. So I would probably undercut the market. And there'd be cheap TPU. It's not going to be anything great. Oh yeah, the one thing that I want to talk about, cheap TPU. The thermal characteristics on cheap TPU, and really any TPU, but more so on cheap TPU, is not great. When it is really warm, when this is 90 degrees, they're gonna like super fold. When it is freezing outside, they're gonna be almost hard as a rock. Now, the way that I've designed these with the outer stage, it actually gets rid of almost all of that. So it's not that big of a deal with these. I designed them to keep that into account. But as compared to a foam is not gonna have nearly as much temperature swing. You're gonna find more so swing on the bite of your rubber than the hardness of your foam. And that, now this does depend on the quality of the foam, of course. So cheaper foams will have a harder density when you get into lower temperatures, and technically they all do, but I have found so far at least that the printed foams are far worse at having a different hardness at higher cold temperatures as opposed to normal foam. So that's like the big downside of this, besides maybe if you don't want 10 extra grams in your tires, which to me is like, you know, just don't eat a burrito at the end of the day. That's your 10 grams. But yeah, that's a mountain bike joke there. Sorry, we're not mountain biking here. But yeah, there we go. Ranting about foams. I've totally gotten lost in this project now. So leave any comments or questions down below. I intentionally left some of the design of this vague because we might just do another video going into the design. So as always, thanks for tuning in. Have a foamy day.